serene and otherworldly landscape of Beerus' planet, 3 Saiyan warriors were engrossed in their relentless training regimen. Goku, maintaining his normal black-haired form, exhibited an uncanny fluidity in his movements, embodying the essence of Ultra Instinct without the need for transformation. His actions were seamless, as his body operated on its own accord, free from conscious thought. Broly was wild and unrestrained, unleashing everything he had in a storm of brute strength and explosive fury. He lunged, roared, and swung with the force of a raging beast, his strikes violent, unpredictable, and endless. But no matter how hard he tried, none of it landed. Goku danced around him like water slipping between cracks, completely untouched. Nearby, tucked into a sunny corner of the lawn, Chi-Lai and Lemo worked together in a modest but well-equipped outdoor kitchen, an unexpected gift from Bulma, who had thoughtfully packed up a fully stocked setup and had Vegeta deliver it during one of his training visits. The ingredients for their current masterpiece, a hearty ox, vegetable, and wild rice stew, were also a courtesy of Bulma, earth-grown, fresh, and curated specifically to keep Beerus happy, Whis content, and the Saiyans well-fed. The pot simmered merrily over the flame, sending a rich, savory scent into the air. The oracle fish bobbed anxiously in his tiny floating bowl, his eyes wide as he fretted. "Is it ready yet? My stomach is going to implode." Chi-Lai rolled her eyes and muttered, "We told you, patience. Unlike Whis, we can't speed up the stew with magic." Lemo grinned mischievously and leaned closer, wagging a finger. "Keep whining, and I swear I'll dump you right into the pot. I bet you're a tasty little guy." The fish let out a startled gurgle, eyes darting nervously between them before falling silent, though a tiny bubble of nervous laughter escaped his bowl. Chi-Lai smirked and went back to stirring, while Lemo chuckled softly, shaking his head at their floating, finned companion. Vegeta pressed forward alongside Broly, each of them fiercely competing to strike Kakarot. Vegeta's attacks were sharp and precise, but Broly's wild, erratic fighting style made it difficult to find an opening. Despite his relentless efforts, Vegeta struggled to maintain his rhythm and, like Broly, tried in vain to land a hit on Goku. "Damn it, Kakarot!" Vegeta snarled, launching a vicious series of punches. "Stand still and fight me like a man." Goku effortlessly dodged, pivoting just out of range, a confident smile on his face. "Come on, Vegeta, you know that's not how this works." Off to the side, Whis watched with a quiet smile, hands folded behind his back. Goku now guided the others with a natural instinct, while Broly and Vegeta seemed content on pushing forward through sheer raw power. Whis wasn't sure where he fit in anymore. Broly was strong but unruly, and Goku and Vegeta had turned his teachings into something uniquely their own. They had grown beyond his instruction, leaving Whis to wonder what could possibly push them further. He couldn't spar with them seriously without risking disaster, and Beerus had fallen behind, far too preoccupied with napping to keep pace. He certainly wouldn't bother his father with such things. Before Vegeta could snap back at Goku, an oppressive ki suddenly swallowed the planet like a thundercloud. All 3 halted instantly. The air grew heavy, the vibrant sky dimmed, and the wind stopped, as if the world itself sensed what was coming. From the far horizon, a silhouette approached, cutting through the atmosphere with an aura of malevolent elegance. Frieza had arrived, his form sleek and dark, exuding a cold, refined power that sent an involuntary chill through even the most seasoned warriors. "Well, well, if it isn't my favorite monkeys," Frieza's voice dripped with mock affection, his lips curling into a sinister smile. "Training hard, I see. How quaint." Goku's eyes narrowed. "Frieza, what do you want?" Frieza chuckled, a sound devoid of warmth. "Straight to the point, as always. I've come to challenge Lord Beerus for his throne." Vegeta smirked in amusement. "You think you can take on Beerus? Don't make me laugh." "Oh, but I do," Frieza replied, his tone icy, "and I intend to prove it." Without warning, Frieza launched himself at Goku and Vegeta, his speed blinding. The Saiyans barely had time to react as Frieza's fist connected with Goku's abdomen, sending him crashing into a distant rock formation. Vegeta roared in fury, transforming into his Ultra Ego form, his aura flaring with a deep purple hue. He charged at Frieza, but the tyrant sidestepped effortlessly, delivering a bone-crushing kick to Vegeta's side. Goku recovered, wiping blood from his mouth. "He's faster than before." "No more holding back," Vegeta growled, his aura intensifying. The 2 Saiyans powered up, Goku tapping into his Ultra Instinct form, his movements becoming even more fluid and precise. They attacked in unison, their energies synchronized, but Frieza met their assault with a sinister grin, effortlessly parrying their blows. "Is this the best you can do?" Frieza taunted, his tail lashing out and striking Goku across the face. Vegeta seized the opening, landing a powerful punch to Frieza's midsection, but Frieza barely flinched, his cold laughter echoing across the battlefield. Impressive, but not enough, Frieza sneered, his aura darkening as he powered up further. Broly let out a thunderous roar, his body flaring with chaotic green and gold energy as he surged forward, driven by pure rage and instinct. He hit the ground like a comet and launched himself straight at Frieza, fist blazing, hurling towards him like a cosmic freight train. Frieza spun violently, his tail whipping around like a blade and catching Broly square across the jaw. He clutched his new scar as Frieza delivered a gut-wrenching blow to his midsection. Broly flew backward, heels tearing deep gouges in the ground as he barely managed to stay upright. Before Broly could fully recover, Frieza appeared directly in front of him, silent, sudden, and merciless. A crushing fist buried itself into Broly's gut, folding the Saiyan in half as his breath left him in a violent gasp. But Broly, fueled by more fury than reason, retaliated instantly. The blinding light of the attack radiated outward, reflecting wildly off the shattered terrain and scattering across the swirling nebula and distant moons orbiting Beerus's planet. Shadows twisted and danced across the celestial expanse as the beam roared on, turning the very heavens into a kaleidoscope of destruction. Yet Frieza didn't move. As the blast engulfed Frieza, he stood his ground, laughing maniacally, the sound echoing with cruel delight. Without hesitation, his tail coiled upward, slicing through the searing energy like a serpent cutting through mist. In a blur of terrifying speed and precision, it snapped around Broly's neck. "Is that really all your tantrum has to offer?" Frieza sneered, tightening his grip. Broly thrashed violently, choking as Frieza raised a finger and calmly fired several precise death beams into his limbs and torso, each one disabling more of Broly's movement. With a casual grunt, Frieza released him and followed up with a savage kick to the back, sending the berserker crashing across the battlefield in a limp heap, unconscious before he even hit the ground. Awoken by the noise, Beerus appeared, his expression one of annoyance. "What's all this racket? You're interrupting my catnap." As Frieza turned to face Beerus, his eyes gleamed with malice. "Ah, Lord Beerus, I've come to claim your title." Beerus raised an eyebrow. "You, a god of destruction? The notion is amusing, but you, defeating me, that's beyond absurd." "Oh, I disagree," Frieza replied, his aura flaring. The two clashed, their energies colliding with the force that shook the cosmos. Goku and Vegeta watched in awe and horror as Frieza matched Beerus blow for blow. Just as they prepared to charge in and help, a calm voice stopped them. "Don't interfere." Whis stood between them in the battle, his expression unusually serious. "This is now a formal challenge for the throne of the God of Destruction. To interrupt would be a violation." Vegeta's eyes narrowed. "Do you think Frieza actually stands a chance?" Whis tilted his head thoughtfully. Frieza has grown significantly since his resurrection, and Beerus, well, he hasn't exactly been diligent in his training. He paused, then smiled faintly. "The outcome is uncertain." The battle raged on, but it became clear that Frieza was holding back, savoring the fight. With a sudden, vicious strike, Frieza pierced Beerus's chest, his hand emerging from the other side. Beerus gasped, blood trickling from his mouth. "You bastard!" Frieza leaned in close, his voice a cold whisper. "The throne is mine." With a final, brutal twist, Frieza ended Beerus's life, letting the god's lifeless body fall to the ground. Goku and Vegeta stood frozen, unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. As Beerus's lifeless form collapsed, a profound silence enveloped the realm. The once vibrant skies dimmed, and the air grew heavy with the weight of the fallen deity's passing. Goku and Vegeta stood frozen, their minds struggling to process the gravity of the situation. Whis, maintaining his composed demeanor, stepped forward, his staff lightly tapping the ground. "Lord Beerus has fallen," he stated, his voice calm yet carrying an undertone of urgency. "Frieza, as the one who defeated him, you are now the de facto candidate for the position of God of Destruction." Frieza's eyes gleamed with ambition, his lips curling into a sinister smile. "I accept this honor," he declared, his tone dripping with satisfaction. "It's about time the universe had a ruler worthy of its grandeur." At that precise moment, Beerus's body began to emit a soft, violet glow. His form disintegrated into a cloud of energy, which swirled briefly, before converging towards Frieza. The tyrant absorbed the energy, his aura flaring once again as he assimilated the godly power. A dark, potent ki radiated from him, causing the very ground beneath to tremble. Vegeta clenched his fist, his eyes narrowing. "Frieza, you can't seriously think—" Before Vegeta could finish his statement, Shin appeared, using his Kai technique to teleport them to the relative safety of the Supreme Kai planet. Frieza's laughter echoed across the battlefield as he watched his foes vanish, choosing not to pursue them. Instead, he turned his attention to Whis, intent on embracing and mastering his new role as a god of destruction. As Goku and Vegeta materialized in the sacred world of the Kais, they immediately rounded on Shin. "You've got to be kidding me," Vegeta snapped, pressing 2 fingers to his forehead in an attempt to sense Frieza's energy. "It's no use, they're too far away," Goku said, scratching the back of his head as he looked over to the Kai with a puzzled expression. "What'd you do that for? We were right in the middle of something, you know." The Supreme Kai stood firm. "Frieza was already stronger than both of you before he claimed the mantle. If I hadn't intervened, things would have gotten much worse for everyone." Vegeta turned away with a frustrated huff, muttering under his breath, "Shh! I'm starting to think your job is just getting in our way. I had him dead to rights. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Goku simply nodded. Then he tilted his head. "Still, you must have had a good reason, right?" "Frieza has been putting his plan into motion for a while now," Shin continued. "Beerus wouldn't heed my warning, so I've been keeping an eye on him. You had no hope of defeating him as you are now." "We still had a few tricks up our sleeve," Goku replied, cracking his knuckles with a grin. "Besides, we've done crazier stuff." Shin shook his head. "Even relying on fusion, you wouldn't stand a chance." "And what's to say you're not underestimating us yet again, Kai?" Vegeta barked. "You seem to make a habit of it." "Frieza has been using his power and influence to scour the universe for any bits of strength he can find. Magical artifacts, powerful techniques, advanced technology, he's using it all to bolster his empire and tighten his grip over the universe," Shin said. "So we should crush him before he's got the chance," Vegeta snapped. "I demand you bring me back this instant, or I'll crush you and do it myself." "I'm afraid I can't do that. I'm sorry, Vegeta," Shin replied. Vegeta clenched his fists, but held back. "Shh! What is it you're hiding? You must be real strong if you're this worked up," interrupted Goku, crossing his arms thoughtfully. "Honestly, I haven't seen you this rattled since Boo." "You have no idea," Shin replied, his tone grave. "But I believe I have a plan." Meanwhile, on Beerus, or rather, Lord Frieza's, planet, 3 figures remained behind, caught in the aftermath of the deity's downfall. Broly, Chi-Lai, and Lemmo were left helpless when Frieza struck down Beerus and seized the Mantle of Destruction. Having once served under Frieza, they were quickly subjugated. Lemmo was forced into brutal kitchen and janitorial labor, not out of necessity, but for Frieza's twisted amusement. Chi-Lai, defiant as ever, was imprisoned, her spirit unbroken but her freedom stripped away, and Broly, though uncontrollable force Frieza once failed to tame, was sealed off, preserved for future experimentation or use, a weapon too valuable to discard, but too dangerous to set free. As Frieza watched his adversaries vanish, he made no move to pursue them. Instead, he turned to Whis, his eyes gleaming with ambition. "Whis," Frieza called out, his tone dripping with newfound authority, "I trust you'll teach me how to play with this new toy." His eyes gleamed with malevolent anticipation, eager to wield his power. Whis, maintaining his composed demeanor, responded, "It is not a toy, Lord Frieza. Mastery of such power requires discipline and understanding." His tone was neutral, betraying no emotion. Frieza chuckled darkly. "Discipline, you say? Very well, let's begin." Frieza's ambition burned brighter than ever as he embraced his status. Under Whis' guidance, he began to explore the intricacies of godly power and revel in the majesty of pure destruction. As a deity, he wasn't meant to preserve, but to erase, to unmake, and in that, Frieza was disturbingly well suited. His cruel precision and unrelenting will made him a natural fit, quickly adapting to the nearly boundless authority the role afforded him. Still, his thirst for power was far from quenched. His thoughts turned to his personal training realm, the hyperbolic abyss. This twisted counterpart to the familiar chamber was a void of infinite darkness, where time stretched endlessly and the environment itself was a merciless opponent. Within this twisted realm, Frieza endured a torment far beyond mortal comprehension. The hyperbolic abyss was not merely a space where time was warped. It was a crucible of unrelenting psychological and physical agony. Darkness reigned eternal, not as an absence of light, but as a living, suffocating force that clung to his very soul. The atmosphere was crushing, like an invisible vice wrapped around his body and mind, distorting every thought, magnifying every fear, and stretching every second into an eternity of suffering. Here, the very fabric of the dimension turned against him. Gravity shifted at random, often pinning him motionless for what felt like days, only to violently release him into storms of spectral blades and shrieking winds that tore at his flesh. Space twisted in paradoxes, corridors that led nowhere, screams that echoed from within his own mind. Time fractured, replaying his worst moments over and over. forcing him to relive his humiliations, failures, and betrayals until rage was the only thing that kept him sane. Manifestations of his darkest urges and most twisted thoughts stalked him, whispering his doubts, mocking his ambitions. There was no peace, no reprieve, only a grinding descent into madness. Any being driven by virtue, hope, or compassion would have broken within the first few minutes, but Frieza was not bound by morality. He embraced the abyss, clawed through it, and made it his own. When he finally emerged from the hyperbolic abyss after what felt like eons, Frieza's form had become something far more focused and fearsome. His once familiar silhouette had been once again refined into something more regal, cloaked in a smooth black and a muted gray that seemed to drink in the light around him. Subtle accents of gold and violet adorned his frame. His aura pulsed with quiet intensity, a suffocating presence that radiated gold authority. This was no mere transformation. It was the result of torment endured and power mastered, the embodiment of a will that had refused to break. He would use this power to conquer everything. Shin, Vegeta, and Goku head back to the Demon Realm to ask Neva about the strange power he had awakened in Goku during their last visit. They're hoping he might know something, anything, that could help them in the fight to come. The trip is quick this time, thanks to Bulma, who had gotten her hands on Magellite from the Demon Realm and reverse-engineered one of their aircraft. They now had a newer, faster, better plane. It was at least twice as fast as the Gendarmerie models. When they arrive at the second Demon World, things looked mostly the same. But there was one big difference. The Namekian village Neva had resided in was now alive. Most of the Namekians had settled comfortably in Universe 7, but after hearing that Ku was a just and fair ruler, many agreed to migrate back to their true home, restoring the land to its former glory and spreading out their people to bolster their resilience and culture. Upon landing, the group is greeted by a familiar face. Elder Mori stands waiting near the edge of the landing platform, his robes fluttering slightly in the wind. If it isn't our earthly savior, and... Mori's expression falls slightly as his eyes land on Vegeta. "Don't worry," Goku reassures, clapping a hand on Vegeta's shoulder. "He's been through a lot since then. He's on our side now. You can trust him." Vegeta growls, shrugging him off. "I see. It has been some time. What brings you to us?" Shin steps forward. "We must speak to Neva about an urgent issue. The entire universe is in danger." Mori gives a slow, knowing nod. "Neva?" He smiles faintly, then gestures towards a nearby park where young Namekian children are playing under the gentle yellow glow of the sky. He is just this way. Glittering sparks swirled through the air like mischievous fire spirits, weaving trails of light above the gathering. Bright bursts of color bloomed from nowhere, spinning rings, shimmering birds, and tiny floating stars that pulsed with soft, golden light. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the illusions danced higher, bending into playful shapes that wove between the outstretched hands of curious children and the astonished gazes of elders. Wide-eyed Namekian youths chased the flickering lights with laughter, while even the oldest among them stood still, lips parted in wonder, reflections of the enchantment flickering in their eyes. The magic didn't just dazzle, it seemed to breathe life into the quiet village air, stirring joy like wind through ancient trees. He looks genuinely happy. But then he perks up, sensing their approach. "Ah, look who it is, the warriors who helped us defeat King Goma and liberate our home. Welcome, friends." "It seems we owe them a great deal," Mori says quietly. "They once saved our home in Universe 7 from a tyrant some years ago." Neva nods solemnly. "Indeed, Goma ruled only briefly, but once he obtained the Tertian Oculus, he became more powerful than you could imagine." He gestures to Goku. "But of course our friend here is nothing short of remarkable." Goku rubs the back of his neck with a grin. "I don't know about all that. I just like fighting strong guys." Shin steps forward again. "We came to ask you about something. The same tyrant who once destroyed Namek is now sitting on the throne of our universe as god of destruction." Mori's eyes go wide. Shock, confusion, fear. Neva, however, looks calm. His brow furrows, but he simply waits to hear more. "When we were here last," Shin continues, "you helped Goku achieve a power we haven't seen before or since. Something ancient, something raw. Yes, I recall that power. It was quite something." "It was awesome!" Goku exclaims. "Can you show us how to do it again?" Neva turns towards Goku, but his eyes narrow as he speaks. "I can feel it within you, the divine seed. The energy you now wield is not the same as before. It's evolved, it's something purer, more complete. Surely that's the more fruitful path." Shin speaks calmly. "That may be true, But if Goku and Vegeta can balance both energies, the divine and the demonic, they might become a perfect storm, a force of true balance. Neva grins. If anyone could, it'd be those two. He steps forward, but instead of turning to Goku, he walks right past him, stopping in front of Vegeta. Their eyes meet. I never got the chance to awaken the power within you. Neva raises his palm, and a small white orb of light pulses from his hand into Vegeta's chest. Oh, but your nature will mesh nicely. Perhaps even more so than your friend here. Vegeta scoffs. But then it hits him. A strange power begins to surge within him. His muscles tighten, his body tenses, his eyes go wide, and then crimson fur begins to creep across his arms and torso. A dark crimson mane bursts from his head, trailing down his back. His hands grow slightly, more ape-like, primal. When the transformation finishes, he stares down at his own hands. The power feels strange, familiar, and foreign at once. It's nothing compared to Ultra Ego. It isn't quite on par with Super Saiyan Blue. But still, it burns. Vegeta closes his eyes. He reaches inward. He can feel the divine there, buried, locked away, but he can't quite grasp it. Not yet. He breathes in slowly and exhales, then turns to face Kakarot, who's already powered up into Super Saiyan God, his red aura blazing around him with a cheeky grin. Vegeta has tapped into a power unknown, but can he merge the demonic and the divine forces within him, or was this all a giant waste of time? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Kuro.